Aquarius, hi, it's Erin Scott here. How are you? So I'm recording this on Mother's Day. It's Sunday, the 13th of May, and let's do a little art channeling here. We are tapping into this new moon cycle for the Taurus Sun conjunction, the Taurus new moon that's happening on the 15th, just in a couple of days. And it's a powerful one because it is happening simultaneous with Uranus moving into Taurus for essentially the next 7 years. So we're moving into an entire new cycle of revolutionary change. And it's an exciting time. It will probably be a challenging time as well. I've done a lot of intro on that on the other videos. My cat is under here. He's wanting to say hi to you. So maybe he'll come up in the window here. But let's go ahead and get started, okay? I'm going to see what forms, images, patterns, shapes, colors want to come through for you. This is going to denote your natural Aquarian growth arc. What's catalyzing your maturation over the course of this time frame, okay? So I have gouache paints down here, okay? And let's see what wants to come through for you. Aquarius. I also am going to pull a card. I'm going to pull a growth edge for you too at the end of the video. Okay. Make sure you can see everything okay. So Aquarius, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tap in for a little bit, okay? And then we'll have a deep dive and we'll talk about it. So Aquarius, hang in there. Let's see what wants to come here. You're getting a lot of primary colors, that's for sure. You're getting the church bells today. I just want to point that out because I don't think any of the other readings have gotten the church bells. So we'll talk about that as well. It does matter when I'm doing these readings and what's coming through. The animals, the bird noises, or none. Whether the church bells are coming through or none. You know, it all matters. There's a reason why the timing is occurring when it is. I also have my charcoal pencils here too, so I might be using some charcoal. I do actually need to get my sharpener here. I'm going to sharpen my pencil. Aquarius, if you watched last month's, if you watched from mid-April to mid-May, for the Aries new moon portal, if you haven't seen it, I recommend you do. But it's interesting because I'm getting not a similar flavor per se. It's not like it's the same exact theme, but there is some similar unusualness, right? There's this uniqueness, which is very Aquarian, obviously. But there is an unusual, innovative quality that's pushing through. And one of the themes of last month's channeling for you also brought through kind of this alien, you know, theme. So let's talk about it. This feels pretty much done. Okay, let's talk about what's coming through here. I'm not sure where to start. Let's start with the green, because that's where I started with the whole thing, was this kind of green flow. It's thick, it's thin, it almost looks like a snake or some sort of sperm, you know. It's something flowing with almost a head on it. There's this bigger head here, or a bigger nodule at the end. There's a flow of growth happening for a lot of you over the course of the cycle. Now, I will tell you, we're tapping into this microcosmic theme of the Taurus new moon cycle, which is happening mid-May 2018 to mid-June 2018. However, because the Taurian archetype and how that's impacting all of the signs is exacerbated by this entry of Uranus into Taurus for the 7-year portal of time, this macrocosmic scale, this macrocosmic chapter, this is also theming into the next 7 years for you, okay? So here there's growth. It's moving. It's slinking. It's moving forward. It's finding its way around obstacle, okay? So I get that it's kind of like this serpentine movement of growth, okay, happening over the course of this month. There's this big gold structure, which is tall. It's evolved to some level. You know, it has a certain height to it, right? I just want to make sure you can see it here, right? So this gold structure, Aquarius, it's like it's achieved something. That it's achieved some height, some leadership role, some reputation. There's something about this area. There's something here. Let me just tap in. This is what I get. I do get, because if you watched it last month, you're going to understand where this is going. But what I get with this is that there's something you've accomplished. For a lot of you out there, there's some level of respect that you receive, some acknowledgement that you get, some leadership role that you have. And it's stable. There's something here. It's almost like this foundation here, right? So there's some stability for a lot of you with something you've achieved in your life. But it's not without its conflict. It's not without its joys. It's a mix. I do feel like for a lot of you, this is talking about work, but a lot of you aren't going to be working Aquarians. And if it's not regarding your work, it's regarding who you are being in the world, out to your community, to your neighbors, etc. So there's some level of respect that you've achieved. There's conflict in how you've been met. These red globes here, for me, are designating some areas, some nodules of aggression or pushback or conflict. So I see that there's, in this climb to some sort of achievement or level of respect in your community, at your workplace, that there has been conflict, but that also it's activated for you over the course of this Taurus new moon cycle. So there's some conflict emerging for you to grow you. Now we'll talk about what it's growing. Here you can see these blue, you know, kind of forms, also like this squiggle form, but there's movement that is blue, could represent communication. So there's some, let's say, benefic communications. There's conflicted communications coming to you and from you. There's some sort of conflict engagement, but there's also beautiful communications that have come forward that are maybe more spiritually inspired or more up-leveled in their presentation, okay? Here at the top, this is almost like a bird, you know, like a seagull kind of a thing here. So it's almost like there's some level at the top, at the pinnacle, or that you're feeling that there's something that shows itself, something, some new growth or some new, this is not going to apply to everybody, but some award or level of recognition that you get. And it could just be from somebody that you're communicating with, because this is communication here. So it could be that somebody that you're communicating with gives you something back. It's food for you. It's nurturance, green. It's representing vegetation, growth. It could represent food. There's some nurturance coming back to you from their respect for you, from how they're perceiving you as some sort of a leader. And it's connected, Aquarius, this green up here, this feedback that you're getting is connected here at this midpoint. Now, this is what I'm getting. This is kind of important. What I get is that for a lot of you, okay, you've gone through your life, you've achieved some level of success, and then at some point in your life, you either went a different direction or you wanted to learn something new. You went back to school, you learned a skill, you went into study and investigation, you learned something, you started to tap into a new hobby, something that drew your passion, something that resonated for you, something that activated you. That's what I'm getting. Because there's something about this midpoint here, and this is being circled here. What I'm getting for you is that in your life, in this 3D reality life, with work or with your, you know, contribution to community, you've achieved some success, you've achieved some recognition, and this month it's coming to a head, or not a head per se, but it's coming up for you because there's a memory of something that you did some years ago that you really loved. Maybe you grew up loving dance and you decided to take tango lessons. Maybe you started to get interested, I'm getting chills right now, some of you started to get interested in like permaculture, and you studied permaculture or read some books. It could be that something some years ago, I'm getting a lot of chills right now, actually. So something a lot of years ago, some of you took a dive into some new learning, and it was delicious for you. There's something this month that is coming up, and this could be coming up in your mind. So it could be that there's feedback coming back to you from people or from a scenario, from a situation, from a sign, from a symbol, from nature. It might be that you get reminded this month, okay, of something that you remember you love to do. And there's some resonance coming back to you. And this is amidst a couple of conflicts that you might have this month and a couple of good communications that you might have. You might be remembering this month, amidst any success that you perceive that you have, what isn't working with the way that you're, let's say, communicating and let's say activating a conflict scenario, and the ways by which you're very skilled at communicating. But that combined with being reminded about something that you love to do that feels good, okay? Now, Here, underneath Aquarius, this green outline wanted to occur, right? So this is kind of, it's almost like the Aquarian narrative or who your identity is. When I put the names here, it's doing it so that I know, that the paper, once it's painted, is, it's tagged with the sign. But when there's other activation in the painting process around the name, it's talking about the identity of that ego structure. So for a lot of you out there, there's an identifier, how you identify yourself, that is related to this. So something that you loved, something that you're remembering that you really loved, that fed you. There's some feedback from life, some spiritual feedback, by the way, because this is a bird. So it's representing flight. It's representing spirit. So there's something coming to you that's reminding you about something that really flowed for you, that brought you nurturance. It's green. And it is creating, maybe for some of you, a new identification. All right. Now keep in mind, Uranus rules Aquarius, and Uranus is moving into Taurus. And so manifest form, physical body, physical structure of the earth, physical structure of our manifest reality, things are shifting and changing, and our perceptions about that reality are shifting and changing. Your identity might very well be shifting and changing. So this month, something is coming up, and it's going to be for the next 7 years, but this month, it's activated, all right? It's catalyzed. Underneath your name, you have these dots, but then 2 of the dots wanted to have a black circled around them, and then with the charcoal pencil kind of outlined. So there might be doubts for some of you. You're having doubts, you're questioning, you're being skeptical even about this hobby, this thing that delights you, this thing that might not seem that you can make money at it, right? But so you have some skeptical ideas coming up, some thoughts that are doubtful, skeptical, questioning. But that's the growth edge. The growth edge is you are navigating what's your bliss, what's your bliss, what's your joy, right? It's life is well beyond what society currently structures it as and creates the mythological story about what is valuable and what is not, and what we need to do and what we should be doing, right? So let's take a look. Now, I'm using my Siri deck. This is my own deck, 144 cards. I used to use this all the time when I was doing readings a few years ago. And I'm going to pull a card as your main growth edge for this time frame. Now, for those of you who want to dive into the breadth of my work with clients, who want to understand their soul print identifications and their astrological makeup in depth, I encourage you to go to my website, which is the alchemyofholism.com. And if you'd like weekly live stream potions, if you'd like to join weekly live stream potions with my patrons, you can see the Patreon link down below. I also do bi-weekly card pulls. So Aquarius. Look at this. Work and career. So Aquarius, the work and career with the bee. I don't think this is a bumblebee. This might be a bumblebee. I photoshopped the image, so it's actually hard to tell. But this bee designating work and career. Now, bee also works in a collective, in a hive. So this is about working together. But I have to tell you, this, for a lot of you, now not all of you are going to be working Aquarians, right? For a lot of you out there, work, what you're doing. What work are you providing to the world? What service? What is your bliss? And what is the service calling you to meet? What's your recipe? What's your soul print? What's your alignment? Because now is the time to readjust. In the next 7 years, our whole reality is changing. And so for those of you who are working Aquarians, even for those who aren't, there's plenty that needs input, volunteer input, all kinds of participation in creating the new manifest reality. This is a month that you are recalibrating your ideas about your identity. And it is based on a memory or an experience. I think it's an experience that you had years ago of something that you did that you loved. You studied something you loved. You experienced something you loved. Because this is communal work with the bee, this could easily be talking about a whole new orientation about who you're working with and what your focus is for your work in the world. This feels like a big month for you. Again, Uranus is your ruling planet in modern day. And so it's moving into Taurus. Material change is happening for the Aquarian archetype. And this couldn't be, in my view, more perfect. I am sending you all so much love. Be in contact. See my website. See what the offerings are. See if alignment or clarity around your soul print reality. Who are you? What is your purpose? What is your mastery trajectory? It's all encoded. We're all encoded with a distinct narrative, a facet of consciousness here to evolve, here to grow. And we are all living shared experience here, living in an unprecedented time in human history. And we've all been talking about it coming. And guess what? We're here, everybody. It's arrived. It's arrived. It's here. The time is now. And so, you know, we're about ready to become what I've said in some of the other readings, which is so true, is we're on the surfboard and the big wave is coming, and we're all going to learn to be really good surfers, be really adaptable and resilient. So we're going to remember our natural way of being resilient. And it's all about recalibrating the mind. A lot of you are reorienting your identity about who you are in the world and what brings you bliss and what does it mean to be successful. One thing that I want to point out, I might have lost a lot of you already. I have to tell you, there's a reason why this highlight is here. There's something that occurred, I would say, over the course of this month ahead. There's going to be either an experience that you have or a remembrance of an experience that you had in your life some years ago, which I think is what's coming up. But there was a time right after you had that experience that's highlighted for you this month. So this circle above this, let's say, experience, this nurturative experience, this is key because this wanted to be highlighted here. So if you look back on this experience that you had that felt good, there's something that occurred right after that that's going to be repeating itself this month. Okay? And what that is, it's either going to catalyze a lot of skepticism and doubt, or it's going to catalyze a lot of courage. And I think it probably is both. It's both. I think this is coming up, and there might be a willingness, a newfound willingness to step up into a new way of serving the world and serving yourself, because it's always a win-win. It's not about serving the world to your detriment. It's about what's your bliss. Bring that, right? So much love, Aquarius. Okay. For those of you interested, I'm doing a May Mastery Fast and Cleanse over the course of this month. A lot of wild food foraging. So for those that are interested, you can find my Instagram daily posting link. You can follow me on Instagram, and the link for that is below in the description box. Okay. So that's just a little side note for those of you that might be interested in a dietary recalibration and energy recalibration, and what you're bringing into your system, your vehicle. If there's a call for you to go through some sort of a readjustment in that area, join me on Instagram and you know, follow it. It's fun. I do daily posts there. Okay. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Lots of love. Bye.